Sun Yat-sen was a Chinese revolutionary, first president and founding father of the Republic of China, and medical practitioner. As the foremost pioneer of Republic of China, Sun is referred to as the father of the nation in the Republic of China, and the forerunner of democratic revolution in the People's Republic of China. Sun played an instrumental role in the overthrow of the Qing dynasty during the years leading up to the Double Ten Revolution. He was appointed to serve as Provisional President of the Republic of China, when it was founded in 1912. He later co-founded the Kuomintang, serving as its first leader. Sun was a uniting figure in post-Imperial China, and remains unique among 20th-century Chinese politicians for being widely revered amongst the people from both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Although Sun is considered one of the greatest leaders of modern China, his political life was one of constant struggle and frequent exile. After the success of the revolution, he quickly resigned, due to Beiyang and clique pressure, from his post as president of the newly founded Republic of China, and led successive revolutionary governments as a challenge to the warlords who controlled much of the nation. Sun did not live to see his party consolidate its power over the country during the Northern Expedition. His party, which formed a fragile alliance with the Communists, split into two factions after his death. Sun's chief legacy resides in his developing of the political philosophy known as the Three Principles of the People: nationalism, democracy, and the people's livelihood. Names. The original name of Sun Yat-sen was Sun Wen, and his genealogical name was Sun Deming. As a child, his milk name was Dixiang. The courtesy name of Sun Yat-sen was Zaitsai, and his baptized name was Rixin. While at school in Hong Kong he got the name Yat-sen. Zhaenza Ngshan, the most popular of his Chinese names, came from the Nakayama of Nakayama-sha, the Japanese name given to him by Taren Miyazaki. Early years. Birthplace and early life. Sun Yat-sen was born on November 12, 1866. His birthplace was the village of Qing, Xiangshan County, Guangdong Province. He had a cultural background of Hakka and Cantonese. After finishing primary education, he moved to Honolulu in the Kingdom of Hawaii, where he lived a comfortable life of modest wealth supported by his elder brother Sun Meri. Education years. At age 10, Sun Yat-sen began seeking schooling. It is also at this point where he met childhood friend Lu Haotung. By age 13 in 1878, after receiving a few years of local schooling, Sun went to live with his elder brother, Sun Meri, in Honolulu. Sun Yat-sen then studied at Iolani School where he learned English, British history, mathematics, science, and Christianity. Originally unable to speak the English language, Sun Yat-sen picked up the language so quickly that he received a prize for outstanding achievement from King David Kalakaua. Sun graduated from Iolani in 1882. He then attended Oahu College for one semester. In 1883 he was soon sent home to China as his brother was becoming afraid that Sun Yat-sen would embrace Christianity. When he returned home in 1883 at age 17, Sun met up with his childhood friend Lu Haotung at Beijidian, a temple in Qihang village. They saw many villagers worshipping the Beiji emperor god in the temple, and were dissatisfied with their ancient healing methods. They broke the statue, incurring the wrath of fellow villagers, and escaped to Hong Kong. While in Hong Kong in 1883 he studied at the Diocesan Boys' School, and from 1884 to 1886 he was at the Government Central School. In 1886 Sun studied medicine at the Gwangju Boji Hospital under the Christian missionary John G. Kerr. Ultimately, he earned the license of Christian practice as a medical doctor from the Hong Kong College of Medicine for Chinese in 1892. Notably, of his class of 12 students, Sun was one of only 2 who graduated. Christian baptism. In the early 1880s Sun Meri sent his brother to Iolani School, which was under the supervision of British Anglicans, and directed by an Anglican prelate called Bishop Willis. The language of instruction was English. Although Bishop Willis emphasized that no one was forced to accept Christianity, the students were required to attend chapel on Sunday. At Iolani School, young Sun Wen first came in contact with Christianity, and it made a deep impression on him. Schriffin writes that Christianity was to have a great influence on Sun's whole future political life. Sun was later baptized in Hong Kong by an American missionary of the Congregational Church of the United States to his brother's disdain. The minister would also develop a friendship with Sun. Sun attended Yat-sen Church while he studied Western medicine in Hong Kong College of Medicine for Chinese. Sun pictured a revolution as similar to the Salvation Mission of the Christian Church. His conversion to Christianity was related to his revolutionary ideals and push for advancement. Transformation into a revolutionary. For bandits. During the Qing dynasty rebellion around 1888, Sun was in Hong Kong with a group of revolutionary thinkers that was nicknamed the Four Bandits at the Hong Kong College of Medicine for Chinese. Sun, who had grown increasingly frustrated by the conservative Qing government and its refusal to adopt knowledge from the more technologically advanced Western nations, quit his medical practice in order to devote his time to transforming China. Forerunner and revived China society. In 1891, Sun met revolutionary friends in Hong Kong, including young Kuomintang, who was the leader and founder of the Forerunner Literary Society. The group was spreading the idea of overthrowing the Qing. In 1894, Sun wrote an 8,000-character petition to Qing Viceroy Leon Xang presenting his ideas for modernizing China. He traveled to Tianjin to personally present the petition to Li but was not granted an audience. After this experience, Sun turned irrevocably toward revolution. He left China for Hawaii and founded the Revived China Society, which was committed to revolutionizing China. Unregistered trademark as prosperity. Members were drawn mainly from Chinese expatriates, especially the lower social classes. The same month in 1894, the Forerunner Literary Society was merged with the Hong Kong chapter of the Revived China Society. Thereafter, Sun became the secretary of the newly merged Revived China Society, which young Kuomintang headed as president. They disguised their activities in Hong Kong under the running of a Kuomintang company. First Sino-Japanese War. In 1895, China suffered a serious defeat during the First Sino-Japanese War. There were two types of responses. One group of intellectuals contended that the Manchu Qing government could restore its legitimacy by successfully modernizing. Stressing that overthrowing the Manchu would result in chaos and would lead to China being carved up by imperialists, intellectuals like Kang Youwei and Liang Qichao supported responding with initiatives like the 100 Days Reform. In another faction, Sun Yat-sen and others like Zhou Rong wanted a revolution to replace the dynastic system with a modern nation-state in the form of a republic. The 100 Days Reform turned out to be a failure by 1898. From Uprising to Exile. First Guangzhou Uprising. In the second year of the establishment of the Revived China Society on October 26, 1895, the group planned and launched the first Guangzhou Uprising against the Qing in Guangzhou. Young Qiwan directed the uprising starting from Hong Kong. However, plans were leaked out and more than 70 members, including Lu Haotong, were captured by the Qing government. The uprising was a failure. Sun received financial support mostly from his brother, who sold most of his 12,000 acres of ranch and cattle in Hawaii. Exile in Japan. Sun Yat-sen spent time living in Japan while in exile. He befriended and was financially aided by a democratic revolutionary named Miyazaki Toten. Most Japanese who actively worked with Sun were motivated by a Pan-Asian fear of encroaching Western imperialism. While in Japan, Sun also met and befriended Mariano Ponce, then a diplomat of the First Philippine Republic. During the Philippine Revolution and the Philippine-American War, Sun helped Ponce procure weapons salvaged from the Imperial Japanese Army and ship the weapons to the Philippines. By helping the Philippine Republic, Sun hoped that the Filipinos would win their independence so that he could use the archipelago as a staging point of another revolution. However, as the war ended in July 1902, America emerged victorious from a bitter three-year war against the Republic. Therefore, the Filipino dream of independence vanished with Sun's hopes of collaborating with the Philippines in his revolution in China. Huizhou Uprising in China. On October 22, 1900, Sun launched the Huizhou Uprising to attack Huizhou and provincial authorities in Guangdong. This came 5 years after the failed Gwangju Uprising. This time Sun appealed to the triads for help. This uprising was also a failure. Miyazaki, who participated in the revolt with Sun, wrote an account of this revolutionary effort under the title 33-Year Dream in 1902. Further exile. Sun was in exile not only in Japan, but also in Europe, the United States, and Canada. He raised money for his revolutionary party and to support uprisings in China. In 1896 he was detained at the Chinese legation in London, where the Chinese Imperial Secret Service planned to kill him. He was released after 12 days through the efforts of James Cantley, The Times, and the Foreign Office, leaving Sun a hero in Britain. James Cantley, Sun's former teacher at the Hong Kong College of Medicine for Chinese, maintained a lifelong friendship with Sun and would later write an early biography of Sun, Heaven and Earth Society, Overseas Travel. A Heaven and Earth Society sect known as Tanda Yui had been around for a long time. The group has also been referred to as the Three Cooperating Organizations as well as the Triads. Sun Yat-sen mainly used this group to leverage his overseas travels to gain further financial and resource support for his revolution. According to Li Yunping, chairman of the Chinese Historical Society, Sun needed a certificate to enter the United States at a time when the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 would have otherwise blocked him. However, on Sun's first attempt to enter the U.S., he was still arrested. He was later bailed out after 17 days. In March 1904, while residing in Kula, Maui, Sun Yat-sen obtained a certificate of Hawaiian birth, issued by the Territory of Hawaii, stating that he was born in the Hawaiian Islands on the 24th day of November, AD 1870. He renounced it after it served its purpose to circumvent the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. Official files of the United States show that Sun had United States nationality, moved to China with his family at age 4, and returned to Hawaii 10 years later. Revolution. Tongmani. In 1904 Sun Yat-sen came about with the goal to expel the Tatar barbarians, to revive Zhengguo, to establish a republic, and to distribute land equally among the people. One of Sun's major legacies was the creation of his political philosophy of the three principles of the people. These principles included the principle of nationalism, of democracy, and of welfare. On August 20, 1905 Sun joined forces with revolutionary Chinese students studying in Tokyo, Japan to form the unified group Tongmani, which sponsored uprisings in China. By 1906 the number of Tongmani members reached 963 people. Malaya support. Sun's notability and popularity extends beyond the Greater China region, particularly to Nanyang where a large concentration of overseas Chinese reside in Malaya. While in Singapore he met local Chinese merchants Teo Eng Hock, Tan Chor Nam and Lim Nay Soon, which marked the commencement of direct support from the Nanyang Chinese. The Singapore chapter of the Tongmani was established on April 6, 1906. Though some records claim the founding date to be end of 1905. The villa used by Sun was known as 1 Qing Yuan. At this point Singapore was the headquarters of the Tongmani. Thus, after founding the Tongmeng Hui, Dr. Sun advocated the establishment of the Chongqing Yit Pao as the Alliance Euro unregistered trademark's mouthpiece to promote revolutionary ideas. Later, he initiated the establishment of reading clubs across Singapore and Malaysia, in order to disseminate revolutionary ideas among the lower class through public readings of newspaper stories. The United Chinese Library, founded on August 8, 1910, was one such reading club, first set up at leased property on the second floor of the Wanhee Salt Traders in North Boat Quay. The first actual United Chinese Library building was built between 1908 and 1911 below Fort Canning, 51 Armenians Street, commenced operations in 1912. The library was set up as a part of the 50 reading rooms by the Chinese Republicans to serve as an information station and liaison point for the revolutionaries. In 1987, the library was moved to its present site at Cantonment Road. But the Armenian Street building is still intact with the plaque at its entrance with Sun Yat-sen's words. With an initial membership of over 400, the library has about 180 members today. Although the United Chinese Library, with 102 years of history, was not the only reading club in Singapore during the time, today it is the only one of its kind remaining. Nangyuan Uprising. On December 1, 1907, Sun led the Nangyuan Uprising against the Qing at Friendship Pass, which is the border between Guangxi and Vietnam. The uprising failed after 7 days of fighting. In 1907 there were a total of 4 uprisings that failed, including Huanggang Uprising, Huizhou 7 Women Lake Uprising and Kinzhou Uprising. In 1908 2 more uprisings failed one after another, including Qing Lian Uprising and Hiko Uprising. Anti-Sun movements. Because of these failures, Sun's leadership was beginning to be challenged by elements from within the Tongmani who wished to remove him as leader. In Tokyo 1907 1908 members from the recently merged Restoration Society raised doubts about Sun's credentials. Tao Qingzhang and Zhang Binglin publicly denounced Sun with an open leaflet called A Declaration of Sun Yat-sen's Criminal Acts by the Revolutionaries in Southeast Asia. This was printed and distributed in reformist newspapers like Nanyang Zongbao. Their goal was to target Sun as a leader leading a revolt for profiteering gains. The revolutionaries were polarized and split between pro-Sun and anti-Sun camps. Sun publicly fought off comments about how he had something to gain financially from the revolution. But by July 19, 1910 the Tongmani headquarters had to relocate from Singapore to Penang to reduce the anti-Sun activities. It is also in Penang that Sun and his supporters would launch the first Chinese daily newspaper, the Kuonghua Yit Po, on December 1910. 1911 Revolution. To sponsor more uprisings, Sun made a personal plea for financial aid at the Penang Conference held on November 13, 1910 in Malaya. The leaders launched a major drive for donations across the Malay Peninsula. They raised 187,000 Hong Kong dollars. On April 27, 1911 revolutionary Huang Crossing led a second Guangzhou uprising known as the Yellow Flower Mound Revolt against the Qing. The revolt failed and ended in disaster. Only the bodies of 72 revolutionaries were found. The revolutionaries are remembered as martyrs. On October 10, 1911 a military uprising at Wukang took place, led again by Huang Crossing. At the time Sun had no direct involvement as he was still in exile. Huang was in charge of the revolution that ended over 2,000 years of imperial rule in China. When Sun learned of the successful rebellion against the Qing emperor from press reports, he immediately returned to China from the United States accompanied by General Homer Lee on December 21, 1911. The uprising expanded to the Xinhai Revolution, also known as the Chinese Revolution, to overthrow the last emperor Pitt. After this event October 10 became known as the commemoration of Double 10 Day. Republic of China with mini-governments, Provisional Government. On December 29, 1911 a meeting of representatives from provinces in Nanking Nanjing elected Sun Yat-sen as the Provisional President. January 1, 1912 was set as the first day of the first year of the Republic. Liang Hong was made Provisional Vice President and Huang Crossing became the Minister of the Army. The new Provisional Government of the Republic of China was created along with the Provisional Constitution of the Republic of China. Sun is credited for the funding of the revolutions and for keeping the spirit of revolution alive, even after a series of failed uprisings. His successful merger of minor revolutionary groups to a single larger party provided a better base for all those who shared the same ideals. A number of things were introduced, such as the Republic calendar system and new fashion like Zongshan suits. Birthplace government. Yuan Shikai, who controlled the Birthplace army, the military of northern China, was promised the position of President of the Republic of China if he could get the Qing court to abdicate. On February 12, 1912 Emperor Pi did abdicate the throne. Sun stepped down as president, and Yuan became the new provisional president in Beijing on March 10, 1912. The provisional government did not have any military forces of its own. Its control over elements of the new army that had mutinied was limited, and there were still significant forces which still had not declared against the Qing. Sun Yat-sen sent telegrams to the leaders of all provinces requesting them to elect and to establish the National Assembly of the Republic of China in 1912. In May 1912 the Legislative Assembly moved from Nanjing to Beijing with its 120 members divided between members of Tongming and a Republican Party that supported Yuan Shikai. Many revolutionary members were already alarmed by Yuan's ambitions and the northern-based Birthplace government. Nationalist Party and Second Revolution, Tongming member Song Jiaoren quickly tried to control the parliament. He mobilized the old Tongming at the core with the merger of a number of new small parties to form a new political party called the Kuomintang on August 25, 1912 at Huqiang Guildhall, Beijing. The 1912–1913 National Assembly election was considered a huge success for the KMT, winning 269 of the 596 seats in the lower house and 123 of the 274 Senate seats. The Second Revolution took place where Sun and KMT military forces tried to overthrow Yuan's forces of about 80,000 men in an armed conflict in July 1913. The revolt against Yuan was unsuccessful. Sun was forced to seek asylum in Japan with politician and industrialist Fusionosu Kuera. In retaliation, the National Party leader Song Jiaoren was assassinated, almost certainly by a secret order of Yuan, on March 20, 1913. Political chaos. In 1915 Yuan Shikai proclaimed the Empire of China with himself as Emperor of China. Sun took part in the anti-monarchy war of the Constitutional Protection Movement, while also supporting bandit leaders like Bai Lang during the Bai Lang Rebellion. This marked the beginning of the Warlord era. In 1915 Sun wrote to the Second International, a socialist-based organization in Paris, asking it to send a team of specialists to help China set up the world's first socialist republic. At the time there were many theories and proposals of what China could be. In the political mess, even when Sun Yat-sen was announced as president, Zhu Shisheng was also announced as president of the Republic of China. Path to Northern Expedition. Guangzhou militarist government. China had become divided between different military leaders without a proper central government. Sun saw the danger of this and returned to China in 1917 to advocate Chinese reunification. In 1921 he started a self-proclaimed military government in Guangzhou and was elected Grand Marshal. Between 1912 and 1927 three governments had been set up in South China, the Provisional Government in Nanjing, the military government in Guangzhou, and the national government in Guangzhou and later Wuhan. The Southern Separatist government in the south was established to rival the Birthplace government in the north. Yuan Shikai had banned the KMT. The short-lived Chinese Revolutionary Party was a temporary replacement for the KMT. On October 10, 1919 Sun resurrected the KMT with the new name ʻsʊn Kuomintang, basically Chinese Nationalist Party. KMT-CPC cooperation. By this time Sun had become convinced that the only hope for a unified China lay in a military conquest from his base in the south, followed by a period of political tutelage that would culminate in the transition to democracy. In order to hasten the conquest of China, he began a policy of active cooperation with the Communist Party of China. Sun and the Soviet Union's Adolf Joff signed a Sun-Joff Manifesto in January 1923. Sun received help from the Kuomintang for his acceptance of communist members into his KMT. Revolutionary and socialist leader Vladimir Lenin praised Sun and the KMT for their ideology and principles. Lenin praised Sun and his attempts at social reformation, and also congratulated him for fighting foreign imperialism. Sun also returned the praise, calling him a great man, and sent his congratulations on the revolution in Russia. With the Soviets' help, Sun was able to develop the military power needed for the northern expedition against the military at the north. He established the Whampoa Military Academy near Guangzhou with Chiang Kai-shek as the commandant of the National Revolutionary Army. Other Whampoa leaders include Wang Jingwei and Hu Haimin as political instructors. This full collaboration was called the First United Front. Finance concerns. In 1924 Sun appointed ʻsʊn to set up the first Chinese central bank called the Canton Central Bank. To establish national capitalism and a banking system was a major objective for the KMT. However, Sun was not without some opposition as there was the Canton Volunteers Corps uprising against him. Final speeches. In February 1923, Sun made a presentation to the Students' Union in Hong Kong University and declared that it was the corruption of China and the peace, order and good government of Hong Kong that turned him into a revolutionary. This same year, he delivered a speech in which he proclaimed his 3 principles of the people as the foundation of the country and the 5 Yuan Constitution as the guideline for the political system and bureaucracy. Part of the speech was made into the national anthem of the Republic of China. On November 10, 1924, Sun traveled north to Tianjin and delivered a speech to suggest a gathering for a national conference for the Chinese people. It called for the end of warlord rules and the abolition of all unequal treaties with the Western powers. 2 days later, he traveled to Beijing to discuss the future of the country, despite his deteriorating health and the ongoing civil war of the warlords. Among the people he met was the Muslim general Ma Fujiang, who informed Sun that they would welcome the leadership of Dr. Sun. On November 28, 1924, Sun traveled to Japan and gave a speech on Pan-Asianism at Kobe, Japan. Death. Sun died of liver cancer on March 12, 1925 at the age of 58 at the Rockefeller-financed Peking Union Medical College. In keeping with common Chinese practice, his remains were placed in the Temple of Azure Clouds, a Buddhist shrine in the Western Hills a few miles outside of Beijing. A mausoleum was built and completed in 1929. On June 1, 1929, Sun's remains were relocated from Beijing and buried in Sunday Yat-sen Mausoleum in Nanjing. Legacy. Power struggle. After Sun's death, a power struggle between his young proto-copyright Ga copyright Chiang Kai-shek and his old revolutionary comrade Wang Jingwei split the KMT. At stake in this struggle was the right to lay claim to Sun's ambiguous legacy. In 1927, Chiang Kai-shek married Sun Mei-ling, a sister of Sun's widow Sun Qing-ling, and subsequently he could claim to be a brother-in-law of Sun. When the Communists and the Kuomintang split in 1927, marking the start of the Chinese Civil War, each group claimed to be his true heirs, a conflict that continued through World War II. Sun's widow, Sun Qing-ling, sided with the Communists during the Chinese Civil War and served from 1949 to 1981 as Vice President of the People's Republic of China and as Honorary President shortly before her death in 1981. Cult of personality. A personality cult in the Republic of China was centered on Sun and his successor, Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek. Chinese Muslim generals and imams participated in this cult of personality and one-party state, with Muslim General Ma Bufang making people bow to Sun's portrait and listen to the national anthem during a Tibetan and Mongol religious ceremony for the Qing lake god. Quotes from the Quran and Hadith were used by Muslims to justify Chiang Kai-shek's rule over China. The Kuomintang's constitution designated Sun as party president. After his death, the Kuomintang opted to keep that language in its constitution to honor his memory forever. The party has since been headed by a director general and a chairman, which discharge the functions of the president. Father of the nation. Sun Yat-sen remains unique among 20th-century Chinese leaders for having a high reputation both in mainland China and in Taiwan. In Taiwan, he is seen as the father of the Republic of China, and is known by the posthumous name Father of the Nation, Mr. Sun Zhongshan. His likeness is still almost always found in ceremonial locations such as in front of legislatures and classrooms of public schools, from elementary to senior high school, and he continues to appear in new coinage and currency. Forerunner of the revolution. On the mainland, Sun is seen as a Chinese nationalist and proto-socialist, and is highly regarded as the forerunner of the revolution. He is even mentioned by name in the preamble to the Constitution of the People's Republic of China. In recent years, the leadership of the Communist Party of China has increasingly invoked Sun, partly as a way of bolstering Chinese nationalism in light of Chinese economic reform and partly to increase connections with supporters of the Kuomintang on Taiwan, which the PRC sees as allies against Taiwan independence. Sun's tomb was one of the first stops made by the leaders of both the Kuomintang and the People First Party on their Pan-Blue visit to mainland China in 2005. A massive portrait of Sun continues to appear in Tiananmen Square for May Day and National Day. Family. Sun Yat-sen was born to father Sun Dakyang and mother Lady Yang on November 12, 1866. At the time his father was age 53, while his mother was 38 years old. By the time he was born, he already had an older brother Sun Dezhang, an older sister Sun Jingxing who died at the early age of 4. Another older brother Sun Dao also died at the age of 6. He had two other sisters Sun Myoxi, who was older, and Sun Kayuki who was younger. Sun had an arranged marriage with fellow villager Lu Muzan at the age of 20. She bore him a son Sun Fo and two daughters, Sun Jinawan and Sun Jinon. Sun subsequently married Sun Qingling, one of the Sung sisters. They were married in Japan on October 25, 1915, though he did not divorce his first wife, Lu Muzan, due to opposition from the Chinese community. The relation with the sisters' father Charles Soong would play a role in political affairs. Among Sun's descendants was Leland Sun, who spent 37 years working in Hollywood as an actor and stuntman. He was also the godfather of American author and poet Cordner Smith. Whilst Sun Qingling's sister, Sun Meiling, was married to Chiang Kai-shek, and thus the two leaders were brothers-in-law through marriage to the Soong sisters. Sun Qingling's father, Charlie, was an American-educated Methodist minister Charlie Soong, who made a fortune in banking and printing of Bibles. Though he had been a personal friend of Sun's, he was enraged when Sun announced his intention to marry Qingling because, as Sun was himself a Christian and already married with 3 women, he viewed Sun's actions as running directly against their shared religion. Their mother was Ni Yat-sen. Cultural references. Memorials and structures in Asia. In most major Chinese cities one of the main streets is named Zongshan Lu to celebrate his memory. There are also numerous parks, schools, and geographical features named after him. Xiangshan, Sun's hometown in Guangdong, was renamed Zongshan in his honor, and there is a hall dedicated to his memory at the Temple of Azure Clouds in Beijing. There are also a series of Sun Yat-sen stamps. Other references to Sun include the Sun Yat-sen University in Guangzhou and National Sun Yat-sen University in Kaohsiung. Other structures include Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum, Sun Yat-sen Subway Station, Sun Yat-sen House in Nanjing, Dr. Sun Yat-sen Museum in Hong Kong, Cheungshan Building and the Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall in Taipei and Sun Yat-sen Nanyang Memorial Hall in Singapore. Zongshan Memorial Middle School has also been a name used by many schools. Zongshan Park is also a common name used for a number of places named after him. The first highway in Taiwan is called the Sun Yat-sen Expressway. 2 ships are also named after him, the Chinese gunboat Cheungshan and Chinese cruiser Yat-sen. The Old Chinatown in Calcutta, India has a prominent street by the name of Sun Yat-sen Street. In Penang, Malaysia, the Penang Philatelic Union had its premises at 120 Armenian Street in 1910, during the time when Sun spent more than 4 months in Penang, convened the historic Penang Conference to launch the fundraising campaign for the Huangguogang Uprising and founded the Kwong Yit Po. This house, which has been preserved as the Sun Yat-sen Museum Penang, was visited by President-designate Hu Jintao in 2002. The Penang Philatelic Union subsequently moved to a bungalow at 65 McAllister Road which has been preserved as the Sun Yat-sen Memorial Centre Penang. As dedication, the 1966 Chinese Cultural Renaissance was launched on Sun's birthday on November 12. The Nanyang 1 Yuan in Singapore have since been preserved and renamed as the Sun Yat-sen Nanyang Memorial Hall. A Sun Yat-sen Heritage Trail was also launched in November 20, 2010 in Penang. Sun's U.S. citizen Hawaii birth certificate that show he was not born in the ROC, but instead born in the U.S. was on public display at the American Institute in Taiwan on U.S. Independence Day July 4, 2011. Memorials and structures outside of Asia. Dr. Sun Yat-sen Classical Chinese Garden is located in Vancouver, the largest classical Chinese gardens outside of Asia. There is the Dr. Sun Yat-sen Memorial Park in Chinatown, Honolulu. In Sacramento, California there is a bronze statue of Sun in front of the Chinese Benevolent Association of Sacramento. Another statue of Sun Yat-sen can be found at Riverdale Park in Toronto, Canada. There is also the Moscow Sun Yat-sen University. In Chinatown, San Francisco, there is a 12-foot statue of him on St. Mary's Square. In Chinatown, Los Angeles, there is a seated statue of him in Central Plaza. In late 2011, the Chinese Youth Society of Melbourne, in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Republic of China, unveiled, in a lion dance blessing ceremony, a memorial statue of Dr. Sun Yat-sen outside the Chinese Museum in Melbourne's Chinatown, on the spot where their traditional Chinese New Year lion dance always ends. In 1993, Lily Sun, one of Sun Yat-sen's granddaughters, donated books, photographs, artwork and other memorabilia to the Kapiolani Community College Library as part of the Sun Yat-sen Asian Collection. During October and November every year the entire collection is shown. In 1997 the Dr. Sun Yat-sen Hawaii Foundation was formed online as a virtual library. In 2006 the NASA Mars exploration rover Spirit labeled one of the hills explored Zhongshan. The plaque shown earlier in this article is by Dora Gordine, and is situated on the site of Sun's lodgings in London in 1896, 8 Gray's Inn Place. There is also a blue plaque commemorating Sun at the Kennels, Cotford, Hertfordshire, the country home of the Cantleys where Sun came to recuperate after his rescue from the legation in 1896. A street named Sun Yat-sen Avenue is located in Markham. This is the first such street name outside of Asia. In popular culture, opera Dr. Sun Yat-sen is a 2011 Chinese-language Western-style opera in 3 acts by the New York-based American composer Huang Ruo, who was born in China and is a graduate of Oberlin College's Conservatory as well as the Juilliard School. The libretto was written by Candace Muinam Chong, a recent collaborator with playwright David Henry Wang. It was performed in Hong Kong in October 2011 and will be given its North American premiere on July 26, 2014 at the Santa Fe Opera. TV series, films. The life of Sun is portrayed in various films, mainly The Sing Sisters and Road to Dawn. A fictionalized assassination attempt on his life was featured in Bodyguards and Assassins. He is also portrayed during his struggle to overthrow the Qing dynasty in Once Upon a Time in China too. The TV series Towards the Republic features Ma Xiaoyue as Sun Yat-sen. In the 100th anniversary tribute of the film 1911, Winston Chow played Sun. Performances. In 2010 a theatrical play Yellow Flower on Slopes was made. In 2011 there is also a Manda pop group called Sungsan Road 100 known for singing the song Our Father of the Nation. Controversy. New 3 Principles of the People. At one time CPC General Secretary and PRC President Jiang Zemin claimed Sun Yat-sen had a new 3 Principles of the People, which consisted of working with the Soviets, working with the Communists and helping the farmers. Lily Sun said the CPC was distorting Sun's legacy in 2001. She then voiced her displeasure in 2002 in a private letter to Jiang about the distortion of history. In 2008 Jiang Zemin was willing to offer $10 million to sponsor a Xinhai Revolution anniversary celebration event. According to Ming Pao, she could not take the money because she would no longer have the freedom to communicate the revolution. This concept is still currently available on Baidu. KMT emblem disappearance case. In 1981 Lily Sun took a trip to Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum in Nanjing, People's Republic of China. The emblem of the KMT had disappeared from the top of his tomb. On another visit in May 2011, she was surprised to find the 4 characters General Rules of Meetings, a document that Sun wrote in reference to Robert's Rules of Order, had disappeared from a stone carving. Father of Independent Taiwan issue. In November 2004 the Taiwan Ministry of Education proposed that Sun Yat-sen was not the father of their independent country, Taiwan. Instead Sun was a foreigner from China. Taiwanese Education Minister Tu Cheng-sheng and Examination Yuan member Lin Yuti were then attacked with eggs. At a Sun Yat-sen statue in Kaohsiung, a 70-year-old ROC retired soldier slit his own throat to commit suicide as a way to protest the ministry proposal on the anniversary of Sun's birthday, November 12. See also: History of the Republic of China, Politics of the Republic of China, Chinese Anarchism, United States Constitution and Worldwide Influence, References. Further reading, Sung, Irma Tam. Sun Yat-sen's Christian Schooling in Hawaii. Hawaii, The Hawaiian Journal of History, Volume 31 Sun Yat-sen's Vision for China / Martin, Bernard, 1966. Sun Yat-sen, Yang Chu-yun, and the Early Revolutionary Movement in China / C. Chantu, Bergerie, Marie-Claire. Sun Yat-sen. Stanford University Press. ISBN A0-8047-4011-9 Sun Yat-sen 1866 The Millennium Biographies Hong Kong, 1999, Sun Yat-sen and the Origins of the Chinese Revolution Chiffrin, Harold Z. 1968. Sun Yat-sen. His Life and Its Meaning. A Critical Biography. Sharman, Lion, 1968, ca. 1934, Sun Yat-sen at Nanyang Memorial Hall. Retrieved July 1, 2005 Dr. Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall. Retrieved July 1, 2005 A detailed talk about Sun Zhongshan. Retrieved September 2005 Japanese activist Miyazaki Toten, a middleman and financier for Sun Yat-sen. Toten Miyazaki Bio, Pearl S. Buck, The Man Who Changed China, The Story of Sun Yat-sen. External links, ROC Government Biography, Sun Yat-sen in Hong Kong, University of Hong Kong Libraries, Digital Initiatives, Contemporary Views of Sun Among Overseas Chinese, Yokohama Overseas Chinese School established by Dr. Sun Yat-sen, National Dr. Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall. Official website. Drive Sun Yat-sen at a Middle School 131, New York City. Dr. Sun Yat-sen at a Museum, Penang, Malaysia. Homer Lee Research Center. Was Young Ming Drive Sun's supporter? The Red Dragon scheme reveals the truth. Miyazaki Toten. He devoted his life and energy to the Chinese people. My grandfather, Dr. Sun Yat Sena Euro by Lily Sui Fong Sun, the micron to the first florin carat cube dr euro unregistered trademark a ± AC unregistered trademark a for unregistered trademark C copyright. Ish cube de Shah plus AA Euro ECSHCNC paragraph A Dr. Sun Yat-sen Foundation of Hawaii. A virtual library on Dr. Sun in Hawaii including sources for 6 visits. Who is Homer Lee? Sun's best friend. He trained Chinese soldiers and prepared the framework for the 1911 Chinese Revolution.